How many times? Multiple times, I'm sure.
You talking to me?
I was talking to Wanda, but if you want to answer, you too. Anyone. That question is basically, I said Wanda, but that basically is for everyone.
2 to 3 times.
I know every one of you say a little prayer throughout the day, all throughout the day.
Huh?
I'm driving down the street and I'm talking to the Lord. I'm working at my job and I'm talking to the Lord. I was sitting at the table last night, or I think it was last night or night before, and I had my head down and I'm just praying and seeking the Lord. And Brian looked at me, he said, "Hey, you sleeping?" I said, "No, I'm not sleeping." He thought I was sleeping. No, I had my head down praying. Amen. So I pray throughout the day. I pray throughout the night. When I lay in my bed, I pray. If I'm laying there watching TV, I pray. Whatever. I'm praying all the time because I have a relationship with Him.
Amen.
If my wife was there, if my daughter's there, if my grandchildren are there, my son's there, if I'm standing there with them, and when I'm hanging out with Brandon, me and Brandon are usually always talking. When we're with Wally, we're talking. We sat down last week and had lunch together. We sat there for a couple hours just talking. Why? Because we have a relationship with each other. Are you listening to me?
Yeah.
So the reason I'm constantly talking to the Lord, I don't consider it praying, but that's what it is. But it's in actuality, it's just communing with the Lord. The reason I do is because I have a relationship with Him. Amen? See, and these people, they didn't have a relationship with Him. They weren't even allowed on the mount. But I can talk to Him anytime I want. I could go and knock on His door at any time at night. Because He neither sleeps nor slumbers. Dennis was saying, wonder why God don't have to sleep. I said, because He's God.
You don't have time to sleep.
He don't have time to sleep. That's
Amen.
right, Jack.
Amen.
Because He don't have time. He's not limited by time. He's not limited by what we are limited by. Amen. We get tired, we have to rest.
That's right.
He don't have to.
No.
Amen. So therefore I could come to Him day or night. Because it says, He that keepeth Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. He's up all the time. Amen. And He's not an insomniac. Sometimes insomnia is a good thing.
Yeah.
I remember, what was that guy's, Ephraim Zimbalist Jr.? His testimony, I don't even know if he's still living. He's probably gone on to be with the Lord. His testimony was that he was a horrible insomniac. He said, I couldn't sleep at night. And he said, I started watching Christian television. And he said, I gave my life to Jesus. Amen? See, sometimes being an insomniac is a good thing if you do it right. I'll tell you, God woke me up one day. He didn't wake me up. I was laying there some years back. I was laying and I couldn't sleep. And the Lord, I felt the Lord was telling me, get up and go turn the TV on. You say, why would God say turn the TV on? Because He had a message there.
Amen.
I turned it on and Mike Murdoch was preaching and he was talking about giving. And I was struggling, man. I was working. My sales was down. I was making like $250, $300. I mean, I wasn't making hardly any money at all. And I'm struggling. And I told the Lord, I said, Lord, I'm going to start giving an extra $100 every paycheck. Or I think every 100 a month. Every 2 weeks, I'm going to put $50 in an offering, an extra offering, beside my tithes. And I started doing that. And I want to tell you that, man, God opened up nothing happened. For about 2 years, nothing happened. I still struggled. It was still difficult. Still having it rough. And then one day, my son-in-law was killed. I'm like, just top it off with the most tragic thing that can happen. The very following week, we buried that young man. The very following week, some new people came, including Sister Shirley and Popeye's sister. And they came and they started supporting the church, and they were here every week. And then it was about 6-8 months later, the one sister told me, says, my husband's coming to church next week. I said, oh, good. Next week, he didn't make it this week. He's coming next week. I said, okay, cool. No problem. Didn't think anything. Afterwards, he said, hey, I want to talk with you. And I said, okay. He said, I finally got this settlement. We want to give you a blessing. I said, oh, great. I'm thinking, a couple $100. He said, can you write the check for me? I said, I don't know how to write this check. I said, sure. I wrote it down, and he said, $20,000. I said, what? Woo. I said, are you sure? It's in there. He got mad at me. It's in there. I'm like, no, I'm not questioning whether it's in there. I just want to make sure I'm hearing you right.
I hear that.
He said, now this isn't for the church. This is for you. And I said, well, I'll tell you what. We'll make it out to the church. That way you can use it as a tax exemption, and I'll use it for bills that I need, but I'll use it also to help get the upstairs fixed. The upstairs was in shambles, wasn't it, Shirley? Her husband, Bubby, and his son and Gary bunched it a little bit. They redid that whole upstairs, painted it, fixed it up, did all kinds of work up there. All because of their help and that money. Amen. I was able to get some work done on my house. And then I kept that money in the bank for probably 2 years just to help to pay bills. That way my house payment was paid, church bills was paid. That's what God does.
Yeah.
But I started that about 1.5 years or more before God's blessing came. And it was a struggle every month. I'm taking from money that I didn't have to be a blessing, but God showed me to do it.
Yeah.
Now, let me tell you, about 1 year later, maybe 8 months, 1 year later, I'm laying on my bed, and I couldn't sleep again, and that same thought came to me. This was before the 20,000. This is still before that. That same thought, go watch TV. I went in there, and wouldn't you know that same episode was playing again from 6 months before, 8 months before. But this time, I didn't catch it the first time. This time the guy's talking about $1,000 offering. Before, I didn't have 1,000. This time I had my income tax in the bank. I was wanting to buy me a new TV.
Right. Yeah.
I had $2,000. God said, give 1,000 away. I said, God, come on, man.
Yeah, that's right.
I got to get a TV with that. He said, and this is what I said. I said, well, I'll tell you what, Lord, if it's really you, you show me. And he didn't speak to me, but he dropped it in my mind. Didn't you just say while you were in the bedroom that God wanted to speak to you? I'm speaking to you.
Mm-hmm.
I said, well, show me who you want me to give it to, Lord. If you don't tell me who, I'm going to divide it up amongst a bunch of different ministries. About a week later, he never showed me, so I took it and I put like 200 to David Wilkerson, 200 to Jimmy Swagger, 200 to Ernest Angley, 100 to City Missions, 50 here. And I divided up until I gave out $1,000. Okay? And then 6 months later, a year later, whatever it was, that's when they came in and gave me that $20,000 check. And when I went to get a TV, those TVs that would have had at the time Rick was still living, he gave me a TV stand. Those stands were like $300. He gave me a TV stand. I put it in my side room and kept it there for like 2 years. Finally, I go to get me a TV. Those TVs that were like $1,500 to $2,000 before, and I said, there's no way I'm paying that kind of money for a TV. Came down to $500. $550.
There you go.
So not only did God bless me with the money, but he gave me the TV for 1/3 of the price.
You were doubly
That's how
rewarded.
God is.
Doubly rewarded.
Amen?
Yeah.
Amen. I don't know why I said all that. Amen. Amen. And so in the 21st verse, and so terrible was the sight that Moses said, I exceedingly fear and quake. Now look, Moses, who had a relationship, was still nervous and shaken and fearful. Amen? And he goes and says, but ye are come unto a Mount Sinai and unto the city of the living God, the heavenly Jerusalem, and to an innumerable company of angels, and to the great General Assembly. Who's the General Assembly in the church of the firstborn? Who's the General Assembly in the? I'm trying to get you guys to think. It says, you came to.